I remember the moment. I was at a Casting Crown show, and we were there, and we were in this arena, and it was like, oh, why is everybody into this? What is this about? And I love the guys in Casting Crowns. They're
Yeah.
amazing people. But I remember sitting there in that arena, and I remember them start to play, and I saw the people start to worship, and I saw
Mm.
people that wouldn't connect with what I was doing start to engage with God. And I
Mm.
was like, immediately, my brain just shifted of going, hey, we are all connected to the vine, but there are so many branches. And we're just ignorant if we think that what we do is the thing. Um, and we have to be, you know, champions of all things who are pointing towards the cross. And I in that moment, I fell in love with seeing people connect with God and seeing people worship. And so I try to challenge people in that all the time, of going, hey, if you feel like it's not for you, it's okay. It might not be, but I guarantee you it's for somebody, and somebody's connecting with it. And so we're just trying to encourage the build up of the church and the build up of all people doing things. And it's a really special community.
That's incredible. I love the visual that you just gave me, and understanding too that there's obviously the antithesis of that. There's so many different genres of music that are not connected to the vine, and they're
Yeah,
actually guiding people into whatever it is that they're singing about. And that was a huge part of my story. Like I grew up on country music, Reba
yeah,
McEntire and Garth Brooks and all them, and amazing artists, right? Like
yeah.
Dolly Parton, great. Their voices are incredible. And Dolly's got some good stuff on the tracks now. But
Oh yeah,
I, for a long time, thought that that music would become, and it did actually become my life. And whether it was the drinking or the way that love unfolds or the perspective of family or the American dream or what that actually looked like. And so when we talk about words and understanding that there's power, it's like the music paired with the that actually will propel people into action. If there's a tune
yeah,
in your head and it's a good like lighthearted riddle, right? You're gonna be playing those words out of your mind and also in your life. And if it's something that is actually detracting, it's why, the generations to come, they're listening to some wild music. And
yeah.
they're also experiencing anxiety and depression and suicidal ideation at ages I didn't even know what that meant.
Yep.
How can we as a follower of Christ, like how can we be the example to infuse that in earlier to children, giving them access to this type of music over what is secularly normal?
Man, that's a good question. I think my eyes were opened up this past year. I went and did a this eighth grade retreat. There's a little Christian school in Arkansas, and my dad's been speaking at it. My dad's been a pastor, college pastor for 40, 50 years, whatever. And he was doing it, and he was like, "Hey, why don't you come down, lead worship for it?" And I was like, "Sure." I did it a lot when I was in college, and so it was nostalgic. It was like, "Hey, we're gonna go
Yeah,
back
it's
and
awesome.
do other
Yeah,
stuff." So
yeah, you got to do
we go
that.
back.
Humility.
Yeah. And I was sitting there with these eighth graders, man, and I just felt like, all right, hey, I just want to create a space. Like we're gonna sing some songs, but also just we're gonna just play through moments. And if you have something you want to stand up and share, just stand up and share. And man, like one kid after another just started standing up and just sharing about uh, struggles with pornography, struggles with suicidal thoughts, trying to commit suicide. And these were eighth graders. It was like this was stuff that I was like, I just can't
Yeah.
even imagine that
Yeah.
this is where we're at. And but what I was like just blown away by was by their honesty. And I think that was the most encouraging thing to me of
Mhm.
going, yes, there's a lot of there's a lot of troubles right now, and our this generation that's coming up is struggling. But there are some really good things where this generation is really honest,
Yeah.
and it feels like they're really, when they're given the opportunity to dig in and to have moments of change, they tend to change for the good.
Mm.
And I just want to believe that there is hope in that, and that if we create enough spaces for people to choose good, then good is going to win. And we just have to believe it, and we have
Yeah.
to. Yeah, I have to believe that for my own kids.
Yeah,
I gotta believe
absolutely.
that good is going to win,
Yeah, it's
and
good.
so that's. I'm just about creating spaces for people to find
Mm.
the good and for people to see the good.
It's powerful. Yeah, and knowing the discrepancy between age of like an 11-year-old and a 4-year-old. I mean, that's like it
Yeah,
feels like big when you're the parent, but it's really big generationally too. I have
yeah,
a 8 and a 9-year-old, so they're kind of like neck and neck in that realm. But I've got nieces and nephews that are ahead of that, and nieces and nephews that are behind that. And it's wild the huge variability. I think about the generation when we grew up, and it might be different based on how you were raised, but mental health wasn't a conversation. Depression and
no,
anxiety, you hid that. Nobody talked about that. You just either got a medicine or you didn't get a medicine because then that would be hated on too. It
yep,
was just everything was under lock and seal. And so the power of storytelling through song, through music, allows us to open up in that sense of transparency and gives other people that same authentic ability, right?
yeah, 100%, one hundred
I would
percent. I
love I could see, like, as you're talking, even as they were standing up to vocalize those things, is learning to be able to write, music and then being able to just push that out in sound and the stories that are gonna come from that generation, is something that if we can unlock sooner than later, like, golly, they could be the music makers happening right now versus, like, waiting
100%.
until their big break, you know?
I mean, we keep seeing revival breaking out all over this country. It's
So
like,
true.
what could happen with this next one that's coming up? Of going, man, just the things that could happen. I just see possibility. I
So
I'm
true.
I'm just seeing possibility.
It's so good. So I'd love to know, David, as you are on the road doing all the things, are there any like qualms that you're like, "Right, man, y'all think we're living the good life out here?" They were laughing because Kane's got 3 kids. I think they're all at right around the age of 1, and they're
Oh
on
yeah,
the road with y'all. What are the things about being on the road that like you would rather not be on the road? Because I think that the high life, the lifestyle of the rich and the famous, whatever that means, right? People create this facade. Give us
yeah,
the raw, give us the real of that. I mean, you kind of mentioned it a bit about missing home and just being homesick in that regard, wanting to be in 2
yeah.
places at once.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, I think it's the waking up in a different town that you have no idea where you are every day. Uh, Simply walking into a church, which is really weird for the conscious, because you're just waking up and walking in a church. The majority of the time in your pajamas and everyone's staring at you. Um, I shower probably one time a week, that's
Yep.
always a win. Uh, I don't know. It's not that glamorous out here.